Number 55, Candlemass, Nightfall. This is epic doom metal. Candlemass are one of the two bands that really put doom metal on the map, really. But I feel like when it began with St. Vitus and Pentagram, it was just like, you know, doing metal in a similar style to Black Sabbath at a time when everyone else was speeding it up and doing thrash metal and stuff. And it was kind of a very underground thing and not very popular or well known. And I feel like then there were two bands that really brought doom metal out of the shadows and made it a big thing. Brought it up to the level of, say, death metal or whatever, power metal, whatever other kind of subgenres of metal. Brought it into the limelight in the heavy metal culture, whereas before it had been very obscure in the shadows. And two bands, I think, did that. And later Cathedral did that in the early 90s, but the other band that did it was Candlemass in the late 80s. Swedish band. Most doom metal's English or American, but Candlemass is Swedish. And what Candlemass did was they took that basic, like, let's play metal that's heavy but slow, like Black Sabbath did. They took that basic idea of doom metal and they added this kind of operatic, kind of Maidenesque kind of feel to it almost. More like Sabbath with Dio rather than Sabbath with Ozzy. And that kind of approach to doom metal is known as epic doom metal. A term which, in a way, Candlemass coined because on their debut album is called Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. So epic doom metal is what Candlemass are, and they even came up with a term really there. This is their second album, where they had a new vocalist called Messiah Marcelin, who is a very impressive vocalist. A lot of people love his vocal style. It's very operatic sounding, a bit silly and cheesy on their videos and stuff. And he was a bit silly and cheesy in his performance and stage presence, I suppose, but his vocals are awesome. And this album, I think, is the best Candlemass album. It's my favourite Candlemass album. It's the Candlemass album that I own. And Well of Souls, there are a lot of songs here about grief, about death, hence the name Nightfall, and this image, which is like a classical painting actually, I forget who it's by, but it's sort of depicting the journey from life into death, and nightfall represents the end of life, and so Well of Souls is a fantasy kind of song about how there's this well, it's ridiculous really. There's this well that, there's a circle that shouldn't be broken, because if you do, then hell opens up or something and demons come out or whatever. It's like a little fantasy story where somebody does this and then there's like all these souls chanting and death or hell or whatever comes out and it's all scary, and then the day of light, then comes the sunrise and the sun basically banishes all this evil and all's okay again. It's like a silly little fantasy tale there, but the song itself is amazing. And another amazing song with a very goofy video, unfortunately, is at the very end, called Bewitched, which is like, I'm going to bewitch and hypnotise you with playing my fiddle or whatever, as my fingers dance across the string like fire. But although it's fiddle, it's like, it's guitar, so you can get that out of it, because this is like, it's almost like the band saying, we're going to hypnotise you, and it's got this Pied Piper-esque feel about, I can seduce you and hypnotise you with my music, as I play this instrument and everything. I don't know. Bewitched is a good song. It's a good rock and roll song at the end of the day in terms of how it works, even though it's doom metal, not rock and roll. But it's a very, very cool song. So it's bookended by these very, very cool songs. But there are other great songs on the album. I mean, at Gallows End, which is like, somebody who's going to be hung and who's done a lot of wrong in life. So he's convinced that not only is he going to lose his life when he gets hung, but he's going to be in hell afterwards as well. So, and that's the rather depressing feel to that song, but it's great. And you've got Samaritan, obviously like the Good Samaritan thing. It's helped this homeless man and then three angels come and grant him wishes and stuff, and in the end he ascends up to the heavens as an angel himself, and it's kind of cute. Kind of a cute song. You got Mourner's Lament, which is about a father coming to terms with the death of his son, and it's just an expression of grief in the lyrics. But the lyrics are very good, and the music's very good, and this is a very good album. Candlemass Nightfall, I recommend it, it's great. Number 54, Deep Purple, Fireball. I've got it together with their rather crappy How Do We Think We Are, which is, it's the same lineup, it's the same era of Deep Purple as like Machine Head and Fireball in rock, but it's rubbish. it's the bad one from that era. Who Do We Think They Are? I don't really think much of it. But the reason I've got this at all is because I wanted Fireball, which is awesome. Fireball doesn't get as much attention as in rock or Machine Head, but I love it. The track Fireball itself, stonking tune. It's got a riff which some people say is like proto thrash metal almost. Maybe that's pushing it too far, but it's certainly got a speed and a momentum to it which is really exciting. No, it's pretty good. But then Demon's Eye with its it's got this like the keyboard thing on Demon's Eye. It's kind of, and then the guitar comes in, and it's got a real groove to it and stuff. And it's like the lyrics are like a demon's eye. I think it's about some manipulative lying woman or something, the lyrics, but it's a really catchy kind of cool tune with a really groove to it, but you know, which sounds really lame when you put it like that, but it's Deep Purple. It's actually and they like that sometimes, but it's enjoyable and it's good, and I like it. Anyone's Daughter is the track that lets the album down, and maybe that's why it's never held in quite as much esteem as in rock or Machine Head. I think without Anyone's Daughter, which is kind of entertaining, it's quite an amusing, if slightly sexist, little tale about, you know, sleeping with people's daughters and, you know, getting one up on older, more square kind of men because you're a rock and roll god who sleeps with women. But it's kind of a little bit of an amusing, cheeky number. You know, it can be humorous at times when you're in the right mood for it, but it's a kind of bit shit and annoying as well when you're not in the mood for it. And so it does let the album down, to be honest. It feels like a novelty song, and it kind of lets the album down, which is probably why the album is never held in as much esteem as in rock or Machine Head, because I feel like without that track, and with perhaps another track that was better in its place, the album would be up there undoubtedly, and everyone would be raving about it. But I find I can ignore the odd track that doesn't fit the basic awesomeness of the rest of the album, and still say, you know, Fireball, fuck it, it's good. Because The Mule and Fools and No One Came, it's like, I thought it was good already with Fireball and Demon's Eye, but now you've just blown my head off and made me go, fucking hell, Deep Purple are amazing. Because The Mule is brilliant. Just brilliant. The whole thing, the drumming, the fucking everything about it, it's amazing. And Fools as well, you've got these slower passages and then these fucking half passages. It's all very passionate, it's all very awesome, it's all very epic. Both of those tracks very epic and very amazing musically, and just wow. And then No One Came, which is another kind of groovy number, but its lyrics are about like the music industry, the entertainment industry, and how fake it is, and how it's important to be real and authentic, and just listen to it. It's amazing, and Deep Purple are amazing, and Fireball is amazing. Number 53 is Paradise Lost Icon. Yes, the Death Doom band Paradise Lost. The very, very famous, I said about Candlemass and Cathedral putting doom metal on the map and making it big in metal circles. Paradise Lost, arguably, are the ones that brought doom metal to the attention of people who don't even like metal. Because they're that big. They were massive in the early 90s. Paradise Lost were a big deal. I had a t-shirt of them. I fell in love with the album Icon back in 93 or 94, but I think it came out in 93. But I think it was early 94 I actually got into the album. But yeah, I had a Paradise Lost t-shirt. I liked them that much. And you know, over time I've got into other things, and sometimes the stuff we listen to when they're at that age doesn't quite hit the same spot as it used to. But then recently I checked out Paradise Lost again, and I got the album again, and I fell in love with it again. It is a great album. It's brilliant. It's chocker full of great songs. I remember thinking at the time, this is like metal. It's like thrash metal, like Metallica, but with gothic elements. But it's actually doom metal with death metal elements, which in the end I suppose can sound a bit thrash-esque. If you're not really... I don't think I was as clear back then about the distinctions between different genres of metal. I think I probably thought everything was a bit thrash, was a bit something else. But I recognised that there were gothic elements in it, which I don't think a lot of other people were recognising at the time. Because metal and goth were like two separate subcultures. But I liked both subcultures. I liked Sister Mercy, I liked Metallica, you know what I mean? So I appreciated with Paradise Lost that you're getting a bit of metal with these little elements of goth. I was hearing a bit of Sister Mercy in there, in the vocal delivery, in some of the guitar lines. You know, it felt like gothic metal. And indeed, Death Doom became that. It became gothic metal. That was the beginning of gothic metal. And Paradise Lost was one of the ones who started it. So yeah, I wasn't wrong. And Icon is a great album though. It is great. True Belief, wonderful song. Christendom at the end, fuck, I love that song. Forging Sympathy, wonderful song. Every song is wonderful actually. The lyrics are passionate, they're thoughtful, they're interesting lyrics. The music is atmospheric, it's passionate, it's emotional, it's punchy, it's heavy. It's a great album. Paradise Lost Icon is a great album. So, number 52, Gojira, Magma. I know there are better Gojira albums. I know From Mars to Sirius is their classic, really. And I've heard that album, but I don't own it. And that's the rule of this list. I have to own it or have owned it. I do have Magma. Basically, I got it on the strength of Stranded, which is an amazing song about anxiety and mental health and people deserting you and abandoning you because they can't deal with it, and how that makes those mental health issues worse. It's definitely about anxiety, and I was suffering from anxiety really badly last year, and then I listened, and that track, Stranded, which I first heard when I heard Lost in Vegas reacting to it, to be honest, I instantly fell in love with that song. I instantly downloaded that track, and a few months later decided to get the rest of the album too, because I realised from hearing a few snippets from other tracks on the album that yeah, I need to get this album, and it's a good album. I like progressive metal. It's not often I find progressive metal that I can really connect with, but when I do, I really like it. I like the heavier type of progressive metal bands because I like Opeth as well, and so I like Gojira for that. They've got the extreme metal vocals in there, and that heavy aggressive sound, and yet they've got that progressive thoughtful approach, and I appreciate that. And I know that Magma's probably not up there with the best of their work, but fuck, The Cell, Stranded, what's that song that comes before The Cell? The really fast, heavy one, with the really political lyric. I've heard that it's vegan lyrics actually. I always think of it from a social justice point of view when I listen to it, but I think it's vegan actually. But the one about don't close your eyes to this genocide, I've forgotten the name of that song. But The Cell and Stranded, both of which seem to be about anxiety. Then you've got Magma, the title track, where it's all in the sun, burnt, on the moon, round, whatever, that thing. Magma. I feel the album as a whole is about going through pain and then transforming and coming out the other side stronger, that sort of process, which definitely felt like I was going through in the aftermath of a relationship and an anxiety meltdown I had last year. And yeah, Magma, very deep album and very meditative album in some ways, and a very accomplished album. And but then that's Gojira for you. Gojira are all of those things, and I've not mentioned Only Pain, which is, it seems to wrap up the whole anxiety thing of The Cell and Stranded nicely, and give me another song to express some of that stuff too. But it's another very good song, Only Pain. And Magma by Gojira is a good album. It's a brilliant album, and it's touched my life. So those albums are always special, aren't they? Number 51, Nile, In Their Darkened Shrines. I like death metal, and I like ancient Egypt, so of course I like Nile. And they're technical death metal, and they are. Like, the instrumentation on the guitar is very technical, and I appreciate that technical skill there. They're very brutal as well, though. Sometimes it's hard to listen to them, and I feel like if I play this for people who aren't very familiar with metal, that they're going to instantly be put off by this. Whereas I feel like if I play some early Florida death metal, they might get why death metal can sort of be good, if they're open-minded enough, which a lot of people aren't, unfortunately. But this is sort of a lot more difficult to get into, because the brutality and the low pitch of the vocals, it turns a lot of people off. But then there's a lot of technical skill in the guitar work. Plus, of course, you know, with the whole ancient Egyptian thing, and this is the whole progressive vibe that you get from Nile. They have these intermissions of like world music, like Middle Eastern sounding kind of music in between and stuff, and the four-piece suite, as it almost is at the end of this album, In Their Darkened Shrines, it's just fucking amazing. Like, musically, just awesome. And that's where some of the guitar work is at its best. I also love the track Sarcophagus, but it's a great album. I mean, Nile they're special. What they're doing, and it's just early output of theirs. This is only their third album. It's like their first 4 albums, that's when they were at their most special and at their most innovative and different, because they were different, that's the thing. Death metal singing about ancient Egypt, no one had done that before, no one's done it since. Only Nile fucking do that, to be honest. And they're special, they're a special band. They're technical, they're brutal, they're innovative, they're progressive, they have lyrics about ancient Egypt, they're amazing. And for me, I mean, just in a way it's chance that this is the album I happen to have of theirs, although I think I sort of did the whole checking out what they sounded like and went for the one that I thought sounded best when I chose which one of theirs to get. So it's not complete chance. But I do actually think this is one of their best albums. Admittedly, Annihilation of the Wicked, that came to Starscream, is bloody good as well. Admittedly, their first 2 albums are good as well. Admittedly, most of their fucking albums are good, to be honest. But I do feel this is probably the best of the lot, and it's the one I own, and it's the one I've fallen in love with. So yeah, Nile, In Their Darkened Shrines.